Welcome to Real Estate Genius. I am Terry. This is the live Facebook show, or if you're watching it in replay, it's the live show where we make you a genius about the local Indianapolis housing market. And I am excited to be with you here today from the home office, which is actually where I usually do Real Estate Genius. So not that different for this part, but I hope you're doing well. Hope you're safe and sound and healthy and doing very well so far. So here in the Indianapolis area, we've had a nice last 2 days in a row, coming off of a nice weekend too. So some nice weather lifts the spirits up, makes us all feel a little bit better. So today I want to dive into, kind of before we get to the Indy market stats, I want to dive into some of the hard-hitting topics. First of all, let's talk Tiger King, okay? I don't remember even if I talked about this last month. Maybe I did, but I want to get to it again. Let's talk Tiger King, and I'm really searching for opinions on two subjects today. Tiger King is one, and I'll tell you about the other one in a second. Let's talk Tiger King because I have watched it all. I was riveted. I did think pretty much everybody on that show was crazy in their own fun and unique way, right? It takes all kinds. So I thoroughly enjoyed the personalities of everybody on that show. Joe Exotic, Carole Baskins, the guy with the long hair, he was hilarious, he was great. Okay, so here's my hot take, here's my opinion, my 2 cents. I don't think Carole Baskins killed her husband. I know a lot of people do. A lot of people think that. I don't think she did. I think that he disappeared on his own. I think he just took off. I know they said there's no evidence or whatever, but I think he just found a way to disappear, and that was it. She just didn't strike me as a killer. Do you feel differently? I think most people do. I think most people think that she did kill her husband. I just don't think she did. But, you know, I that's from watching the Netflix series and doing absolutely no additional research. I want to know in the comments, do you think she did it? Do you not? Either way, what a treat that was, you know? You know what I mean? I love it so much. Anyway, if you haven't watched it, highly recommend because it was a bunch of fun. Okay, let's talk about something else. Hulk Hogan. This is the fruit of a conversation that I had yesterday on Facebook with a couple of friends, and then with a teammate in particular, Paul Lynn. Shouts out to Paul Lynn. We were talking about, in the WWF, whether Hulk Hogan was worth his salt or not. So my hot take, again, probably another unpopular opinion, my belief is Hulk Hogan was a lot more hype than he was actually a decent wrestler. I made the joke that he had 4 moves. He had the leg drop, bear hug, body slam, and then like a punch, right? But he wasn't like a great technical wrestler. He was fine at doing the let me tell you something, brother, that whole thing, and Hulkamania, and say your prayers, eat your vitamins, all that, right? But for me, I thought his matches were kind of boring. Like, most of the time, he would get bear hugged for a long time, for like 7 straight minutes, and Paul said it right, like they'd lift the hand and he'd drop it, and they'd lift it again, he'd drop it again, and they'd lift it, and then, oh, guess what? And then he'd come back and he'd body slam and he'd leg drop and it's over. But his matches overall were really boring when compared to someone like Bret the Hitman Hart. The best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. The excellence of execution, as it were. So I need your opinion on that too. Is Paul right? Am I right? Is Hulk Hogan actually an amazing WWF wrestler and superstar, or is he overhyped? Your call. Let's get into Real Estate Genius. Let's talk Indianapolis housing market stats to find out what is going on. I've had a lot of questions with coronavirus, quarantine. How is this affecting the housing market? Let's talk through the numbers and we'll dive into it. So first of all, overall home sales in March were up 6% over the March of 2019. So we know the housing market in March was pretty strong. Comparing it to a year ago was pretty strong. Comparing it to February of 2020, so the previous month, overall home sales were up 40%. So we were seeing that spring increase in real estate activity. Now, March didn't have a lot of the quarantine. I think when the April numbers come out, when we're talking about this next month, then we're going to know a lot more and have a better idea of how the quarantine is affecting home prices, real estate activity, all that stuff. But March numbers still came across pretty strong, and that's not super surprising, because in real estate we typically have about a 30 to 45 day gestation period, if you will. So homes going under contract now, we're going to close in about a month to 6 weeks, right? So we don't know all the details about how a month did until we look at the next month, right? So overall home sales still coming strong in March. Let's talk about the March median sale price. It was $205 overall. That's 14% up over a previous year and 11% higher than in February. So home prices still strong, still better than they were previous year, better than they were in February. So they were increasing again. And people have been asking me, are you seeing home values level off or decline because of all this? We're not seeing it yet, but again, we have that kind of 30 to 45 day period where we don't necessarily know for sure. And the fact that the quarantine didn't really hit until mid to late March is probably why the overall home sale numbers and median sale price were unaffected, okay? Here's something we might be able to tell a little bit more by. Inventory in March was down 12.7% compared to a year ago. We know we've got an inventory tightening, and that's the situation now. But the interesting note is that inventory was up 3% over February. So the March inventory didn't decrease, it actually increased. Now, that could be because some people were worried about quarantine and are holding off to list, because we're seeing that happen. It could be because more homes just hit the market in spring, and so maybe that led to a small increase too. Hard to say, but that might be the first kind of leading indicator of how quarantine is affecting the overall real estate market, okay? Average days on market, 39 days, so again, that people are selling homes pretty quickly. So overall, here's what I'm telling people. My general picture of the real estate market right now is there's still real estate activity happening. It's certainly slower than what we would usually see this time of year, but it is still happening. So homes are still hitting the market. Buyers are still viewing. We have seen anywhere between 10 to 20% less showings than typical for this year. But because inventory is still so low, I think there's still a lot of buyers in the market who are trying to jump on a property if it seems like it's a match. So fewer showings, houses still selling pretty quickly, still having some multiple offer situations. And even with the less showings, the buyers who are looking are the ones who are the most serious about buying right now. So that's kind of the overall picture. I will tell you, in my business, if I have buyers who are still a few months out, we're not looking at homes right now. I love you, but we haven't been looking at homes. And we're not going to because you're still a few months out. But for the right now buyers, we're still providing virtual solutions. We're still being safe and smart about when we do showings and all that stuff. So that's kind of the overall real estate genius, the market picture for you. Don't you feel good? Don't you feel like a real estate genius now? Bring it in. I'm proud of you. Hey, I'm proud of you. See you next time on Real Estate Genius. The no-look ending of the video. I gotta look.